Hi again, everyone. It's Craig Dyer here, Training Director with Christianity Explored Ministries, and it's great to be back in the company of three friends that we first got together for a Zoom chat way back, it feels like years ago, on the 3rd of April this year. It was a Friday morning, and I had a chat with Brennan from, Paul is the pastor of the Tron Grove, and Ian Miller on the staff team at St Mary's Maidenhead, and Merv Kissoon on the staff team at St Helen's Bishopsgate in the city in London. And you may remember, if you've watched that little clip, that these brothers were just in the early days of running Christianity Explored on Zoom. At that point in time, I think Paul was just about to start the following Sunday night. Merv had just had 1 week in at that point, and Ian was picking up somewhere in the middle, having started a what we might call an offline course, a normal, regular meeting in the same room course, and that had to be abandoned when the COVID-19 restrictions came in, and then he began to pick that up again. So here we are back again today, just to catch up with these brothers and see how they're all doing. So first of all, let me just run round the room, as it were, and ask you how you're doing, beginning with you, Ian. How are things going down in Maidenhead?
They're going really well, thank you, Craig. It's great to be doing this. The first course we carried on has continued to carry on. We're in week 7 of one course, and last week we started another course on a different evening of the week, and that's been really well attended. So it's been really encouraging to be doing that.
That's incredible. So you were finishing off the course that you'd started physically, and now it's been so fruitful that you started another one. That's great to hear.
Yes, it's been really encouraging and thrilling to hear. I mean, people are coming because actually Zoom makes it accessible to them in a way that that actually a physical course didn't. We have a lot of people around here who are travelling for work, or they've just or travelling distances and find it hard to get into church physically, and this has obviously just met a need.
Marvellous. Well, I'm going to come back to some of that. Mervyn, how's it going up in the city?
Yeah, it's going really, really well, praise God. We have just finished week 5 of the course so far, and it's been enormously encouraging. Around 35 people have expressed their interest in the course, and we've got a regular group of around 14 or so that come to the course every week, which is really exciting. Last night we had a really, really exciting one. One of the guests actually professed faith, which was really, really amazing. So we're so grateful to God for that, and we're looking to kind of see how we can disciple him as well.
That is awesome. Great news to hear. Always the best news. How's it going at the Tron, Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Likewise, just a really encouraging few weeks for us. We just had week 4 there on Sunday evening. And we've had quite a number of folk coming along. We've had, I think, between 20 and 25 guests each week, and pretty consistent in terms of those who are coming along. So that's been really, really encouraging, and lots of fruitful discussion. And we're launching off another course next week, which is picking up 1 or 2 folk who kind of dipped into the first course but couldn't make other weeks. So they're going to start from the beginning. And there's a few other folk we're picking up. So that starts on Monday night. So we're excited about that.
Absolutely. Brilliant to hear from all of you, just as we kind of reconnect with you again this morning. Since our last conversation at Harper Church in Glasgow, where I'm the associate pastor, we've taken the plunge and started there on Monday night. So you were inspirational to me and a great help in that. So it's been brilliant. Now, a better idea maybe of how that goes, but it's tremendously encouraging. So Ian, we were hearing there from Mervyn about one of the high points, someone obviously coming to know the Lord, but there probably have been other high points as well along the line for you. How have you been finding it in terms of connecting with people and their reactions?
We had a thrilling we heard from a lady this Monday just how she had made a commitment, and it was just really, really wonderful. In fact, we were looking at the parable of the sower, and I was asking people where they felt they were, and this one lady said that she had accepted she'd accepted Jesus, and which was wonderful, because that was the word that was used in Mark's Gospel, talking about accepting the word, accepting Jesus, and then she said, and I feel that my roots are. I'm growing my roots, and it was just so thrilling to see that she'd really grasped it, and she saw the need to grow those roots.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
thrilling.
you know that that's language that can only be instilled by the Holy Spirit in someone's life. That's not typical chat. That's absolutely thrilling to hear of people coming through the Lord. Well, as I said, we're at the very early stages. Probably the high point for me so far was remembering to tick the button that allows the share screen to let them hear the audio through the system and not just through, so having practiced it a few times and forgotten to do that, one of the high points for me was remembering to do that as we did it live. So we've a lot to learn, and we've got a long way to go with that, but it's just so encouraging to hear in the small things and in the big things what God is doing week by week. Now, tell us a little bit about how you're encouraging the whole church family to get in behind it as well. Mervyn, let's come to you for that.
Yeah, so we should be enormously grateful for just massive support from the church leadership. So there's on Sunday morning, Sunday evening services, all of the team leaders are always advertising the course. Also, in our monthly prayer meetings, we'll have slots, so we'll be videoing ourselves and saying and outlining all of the encouragements. And I think it's deeply encouraging, once again, that when you know that the entire church family is behind you and backing you through prayer. And I think there's no surprise that God is working as a result of that. So yeah, I'm really, really grateful for that.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant. I'm sure you're finding the same, Paul. Great response from the church family, bringing friends.
Yeah, we've like Mervyn was saying, lots of folk praying. We are giving folk regular updates at our prayer meetings about what's been going on, and it's just great to hear folk praying for the course and for all this coming along. And it's a mix of folk who have been brought along by friends of the church, and there's folk who've spotted it being advertised online, or they've listened into our live stream services and have come in that way. So a real mix of ways in which people have come in.
That's great. And I know, Ian, that you were talking about the staff team at St Mary's been really excited about it in general, and has that spilled out into the church family as well?
Yeah, it has. It's been great having people who've been invited along by members of the church, prayer is critical. It's all the Lord's work, and so having members of the congregation praying for it is a huge encouragement and so important.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Let's come to some of the more practical aspects of it. Now that you're into it, what can you share that would be helpful for friends who are watching this little clip in terms of some of the practical aspects of running on Zoom? I think, Ian, you'd given quite a bit of thought to this over the last number of weeks. Do you want to kick us off there just with some observations?
Yeah, there are lots of little practical things that can make a real difference. In fact, another one's occurred to me as I was logging in again just now. Actually, you can set your own meeting ID and password for Zoom, and actually, if you set those and you set them with a number that's easy to remember, that can be really helpful. I mean, that's just a general thing which is very helpful for Zoom.
Yep.
Technology has been the bandwidth, the broadband connection that you've got is obviously critical as well. I do have to ask my 4 children to go easy on it when we're doing Christianity Explored at home. I've actually upped my deal with Vodafone, and actually was encouraged, and this isn't an advert for Vodafone, but I was encouraged to see that there are some better deals out there. I've got a much better bandwidth now, and I'm not paying much more money. I also noticed that I can boost my broadband connection with an app on my phone, and so just before I go online for a Christianity Explored meeting, I specifically boost the computer that I'm using. Just to be clear, are you using your phone for the Zoom?
No,
I'm not. No, I'm using a computer, but the app on my phone. I don't know whether this is true. I'm not a technical wizard, but just the particular broadband service provider I'm using, the app allows you to boost for one device, and so I'm doing that, just doing everything I can really to make sure that I have the best connection, because actually if you start losing a connection in the middle of it, and particularly when you're sharing the screen and watching the video, that can be, it just is a distraction. At best it's a distraction, at worst it can really be quite disruptive. So that's been something I've been doing. There are other things that are, sorry, I don't want to dominate, but there are other things which I think are quite helpful too, just things like the volume. I for some reason, I don't know if this is true for others, but if I don't have the volume up on my computer when I'm showing the film and things like that, it can be quite quiet for people watching. So I'm just making sure that all those sorts of settings are right before I get going.
So there's a note that the output on your computer obviously affects then the input as people are hearing it on their terminals.
It may be some IT guys listening to this and thinking he's talking nonsense, but which is perfectly possible. But I found with One Christianity Explored one evening, the volume on my computer was low, and that affected what people heard. You need to be careful. I mean, at the moment, I'm using a different computer. It's got amplified speakers, but I've made sure that I make sure that the computer volume itself, rather than the amplified speakers, is right up so that people are getting. It's all that sort of thing. And the other thing I do, right? Again, I don't want to dominate, but I've given people the YouTube links for the videos. So I've said to them when we've started watching the video, if your connection goes, if the quality is poor, please just go on and watch the video on YouTube, and then we'll reconvene afterwards. But it just means that people know where to go if they're watching the film and it's just the quality is just no good and they're really not getting anything out of it.
And are you all using embedded videos as opposed to streaming it from the site and then restreaming it for your computer? Is that what you do? Are you embedding them in are you showing it from your machine, or are you showing it from
I'm showing it from YouTube.
Right.
I'm going straight onto YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing, Merv, there?
So at the moment we are we're actually recording the talks. We're doing talks, so we're live talks. But similarly to what Ian was saying, what we're doing is we're working really hard from Wednesday to Friday to record the talks and then send them out onto a Vimeo link. So on the Friday night, they can listen to it up until the following week. And we found actually that more people have come from week 2 because they felt more comfortable listening to the talks and then thinking, actually, this is going to be fine over the Zoom format. So that's a trend that we've spotted.
So they are listening in advance to what's going to be to the talk for the following Wednesday.
So some, not quite. So some individuals have, we send a recording of that current week, of that specific week for just as a recap, or for people who have not been able to make the course. But what we found is people who have originally signed up for the course have actually ended up coming and logging into Zoom, having listened or watched the talks in week 1 and 2. They've ended up coming into week 3, 4, and 5 as a result of that, which is really encouraging.
That's incredible. What about you, Paul, in the Tron? Are you streaming the videos, or are you showing them from your PC?
We're showing them from our computer, so we would download the film, so it's there on the computer, and then share it that way.
Brilliant. Excellent. What about anything that you've picked up as you've gone along, that if you were doing it again, as all of you are, I think, that you would do differently this time? Is there anything that you would say that would be good for people who are about to start that you've learned from experience? Other than what we've already heard, checking the volumes, becoming fluent with Zoom and so on, that kind of thing. Anything else in particular? Ian or Merv or Paul, jump in.
Well, we had on Sunday night there, we learned the hard way. So at the end of the evening, we would people would leave straight from their breakout rooms to leave the course. So all the leaders would be left, and we'd sort of have a debrief at the end of the evening. And this Sunday, we would done our debrief and we were just clicking out. And I realized as we ended the meeting that we were still one group short and there was a group still going on and we hadn't quite realized. So it's good to make sure you've got all your leaders back before you end the Zoom meeting.
So that's the
electronic. The discussion was going on, so it was encouraging. But
that's great. That's the electronic equivalent of locking people in the hall for putting the lights out, walking away. Yeah, that's brilliant.
I made the mistake last night, of mixing up the groups. I think it was a mistake. I think we were the second week, and I think it would have just been better to have stayed with the same groups. I think it was just an easy option when I clicked on it and thought it won't do any harm. But actually, I think on reflection, it would have been helpful to have kept the groups the same. That would be one observation. Again, I learnt the hard way. Well, I don't think too much damage was done, but it's meant that they had to start again, getting to know each other.
That's right. So any relational collateral that there was has been lost, and then you have to sort of reestablish. But it's experimental, isn't it? Because it might have worked great. So you just don't know. No, that's very helpful. Now I know that I think we're all doing the printed material slightly differently, the questions and so on. So Paul and Mervyn are using PDF. Is that right?
Yes.
Ian, you're physically sending the Christianity Explored books around to the people. Is that right?
Yeah. I've either been using my daily exercise slots to get out to people, which has been nice. I leave it on the doorstep, ring the bell, stand back with the social distancing, and actually it's given me opportunity to make contact. So, and it's been exercise alongside for me. So it's been
very good.
Been win-win.
Well done.
But actually, otherwise, I've been sending it around, and I discovered the other day that you can do all it. You don't actually even go to a post office these days. You can go to the post office website, download pay for a label, stick it to the envelope and send it off. And I was amazed. I sent a load off on Monday, and they were there for last night for the second week, because we were joined by a few people for week 2. So
that's great.
It's a way of doing it.
That's a brilliant way of doing it. Now I gather you all have plans to do this again. So this has not been a one-off. Paul, what are your plans there at the Tron?
Yeah, so we are going to start another course on Monday evening. So we'll have the 2 courses running alongside each other for a little bit. But there was 1 or 2 folk who came along to a little bit of the first course but missed a few weeks. So to get them to go from the start, some had exams and couldn't really get to the first course. So there's 1 or 2 in that category. And there's also other folk who've expressed interest, but we're already at week 3 by that point. So we thought best they start from the beginning. So yeah, we'll see. We've got maybe 8 or 10 signed up so far, and we'll see what happens. But another one starting on Monday.
Fantastic. And Mervyn?
Yeah, similarly, we have just arranged and designed a course for the 27th of May. So we'll have 1 week off, and then we'll start the new course. And I think from this Sunday, we're actually advertising for that course as well. So yeah,
brilliant, amazing. And Ian, as I said at the beginning, you're already got 2 on the go at the moment. Tell us more about that. Yeah.
Well, there was the one that we'd already started before lockdown, and we're continuing that. So that group, we're working out what to do with them. Normally they would go on to a course which we run, which follows Christianity Explored, but that isn't going to quite work with where that course is. So we're just sort of doing something separate with that group, carrying it on Zoom, and then we've got the other group, the other course which we started last week, and we have a rolling program. At the moment, 1 course starts, we start putting together or at least at the moment we get to a point in 1 course where we actually feel it's not helpful for people to join. We start putting together our list for the next course, and we haven't finalised a date, but I wouldn't be surprised if we are thinking we end up putting one on in June.
Wonderful.
Because it just seems such a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you do? How are you guys thinking about follow up with people when one course ends? I mean, it's obviously, it used to be we just tried to sweep people into church family life, bring them into one-to-one Bible reading or a study group or something. How are you doing? How are you doing that, Paul, at the Tron?
Yeah, so we're just beginning to tee up our leaders to try and work out where the folk in their groups are at and to think what's going to be the best. So there'll be two things really. One will be discipleship explored. So we'll run that on same slot on a Sunday night,
right?
As folk are used to coming along. So that's one option. Another option might be to do the Word one-to-one. We're kind of leaving it to the leaders to work out, okay, where's this individual at? What's going to be most helpful for them next? It may be continuing in this course format, or it might be Word one-to-one. So we're just beginning to work out what's going to be best. So there's two.
Brilliant. And you, Merv, what's the plan?
Yeah, so on the 27th, we're going to run a course alongside the new Christianity Explored course, which is a big picture course. It's going to be a 12-week investigation into the whole Bible story.
Brilliant. And similar, Ian, plans for follow-up?
Yeah, we generally we have a course we run, Christian Foundations. So our plan is always to get our people after Christianity Explored. Want to encourage them to do that. We always give them the option. We ask them what they'd like to do, whether they'd like to do Christianity Explored again, and we find that a number of people do want to do it again. But generally, people go on and do Christian Foundations.
Marvelous.
Sometimes we just have to do a bit of bridging to make sure they come in at the right time. But apart from that, yeah.
Well, brothers, I want to thank you so much for your time again this morning, and for the joy of catching up with you and hearing this great news. It's a marvelous encouragement to us. And thank you to everyone for watching this. Do keep an eye on ceministries.org. Just as Paul mentioned there about Discipleship Explored, we're hoping to run a little similar discussion with some church leaders who are doing that online and just catching up with them. And there'll be other material that we hope will be helpful on there. So these are remarkable days. We're beginning to hear about the lockdown being relaxed in some ways, and of course we're thrilled about that, and yet there is something very precious about this moment, and we want to absolutely maximize it. May the Lord bless you richly as you do so. Thank you so much for watching today. Lord bless.